In today's video, I catch up with Devon Edwards. Devon is a full-time BD member. He joined us on February the 16th of this year. He purchased the buy and destroyer on MT5. He's from Canada. He's a full-time trader and multi-prop firm funded trader as well, which is absolutely phenomenal because to get funded is good, but to be funded by multiple prop firms is insane. So I thought I would get him on a Zoom call, ask him a couple of questions and get him to give us his advice on how to get funded yourself. So enjoy today's video. Become a pro expert of editing at the minute. It's hard.
Nice.
Okay. Right. Hi, everyone. I've got Devon here, basically a funded trader, a BD member. If you didn't know, with my recent videos, I have now been funded and I've decided that I'm going to start reviewing some funds, some prop firms and kind of interviewing some of our prop firm traders, our members, and ask them for some tips and advice, you know, how they got on, what prop firm did they go for, why did they go for that prop firm, and any advice they can give to help you. Now, I got funded with FX2 funding, 100 grand. The reason why I chose this one is simply because there's no time limit. Who are you funded with, by the way?
So I'm currently funded with Secure the Bag and instantfunding.io.
This one here?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you choose that one, just by any entrance?
Yeah, so like specifically for instant funding, you know, obviously I saw an ad, Instagram, and went to their site and saw, you know, just like some of the programs that they offered. So I'm a fan of like instant type of funding just to kind of like get capital really quickly. MFF has a version like that called Accelerated, but I was like, you know, I kind of used them in the past, had some slippage issues. So this particular company, I'm not sure where they're based out of, but they were doing like a bunch of free giveaways with accounts and stuff like that. So I actually got awarded an account just for kind of being like a new member. So I got an account. And one of the reasons that I joined with them is because I just like the low spreads. You know, unfortunately they do use 8-cap, which 8-cap does have its issues and stuff like that. But
everyone uses 8-cap. F2X trading was 8-cap as well.
Oh, they do as well.
And it's funny because I even had 8-cap reach out to me and they said, "Oh, FX Learning, would you like to set up a prop firm?" And I sat there for about 10 minutes pondering. I was like, oh yeah, you know what, I quite fancy doing a prop firm. They told me how much it was. I had a Zoom call with them, but I was like, I don't want to do what everyone else is doing at the minute, because you know, you Google prop firms and there's about 100 of them pop up. Tons of
them. So yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that. They're just popping up all over the place. And with instant funding, I just saw an opportunity to get some capital, right? And that's when I just started to, you know, use the Mogwai strategy, and yeah, that's what I went for.
Oh, good. Yeah, because the reason I've always been reluctant on doing it, I have, because obviously when I had it, when I was learning to trade, there was no prop firms, it didn't exist. So I was kind of, I had to do it the old way, you know, with building accounts up, and then obviously over the years I've kind of had enough capital where I've kind of just not bothered down the prop firms. And I've always been reluctant because, like, I've looked at FTMO, and again, I've not nothing against them because the most famous probably prop firm out there, but they have a lot of time limits and restrictions. Yep. And I've always been like, well, you know, I don't want to be told when I can and can't trade. You know, I like that kind of relaxed feel, which is good because, you know, when I first started doing the challenge, you realize it's a different kind of atmosphere. You know, you've got a set of rules. You can't really do what you want to do.
Relax.
Yeah. You know, it feels like you got a head teacher watching over you.
Right. And that's the reason why I like the instant funding. There's no minimum, there's no maximum. It's just,
is it not?
Yeah, you just go. And that's for the instant funding. They also have a phase 1 and a phase 2. So I was like, that's perfect. The only downside I would say that instant funding is like for example, phase one, their drawdown daily drawdown is 3%.
On
So
what's
that
that?
is
20 grand, 50 grand?
oh, it's on and they have many different account sizes. So it's 20, excuse me, it's 3% of your account is daily drawdown of whatever
Okay.
account size you choose, right? So yeah,
So
whether
what
it's
account did
50K
you
or
get
100.
funded on then? What account size was
The
that?
first, yeah, the first one that I got, I have multiple, but the one using Mogwai, that was 1,250. Yeah, that was the first
Oh,
one that I
okay.
got.
How much is the
hmm
fee for that then? Not much. Can't be much, can it?
79 US dollars.
Oh, that's
So
not bad.
yeah, yeah, not too bad. It just kind of gets your feet wet, right? And just kind of you start just
It
growing and growing, and what's
it
great
does.
is every time you pass, excuse me, you gain 10%, they double your account in size by two times, which
Does
is
it
really
really?
nice. Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
good.
I'm currently at I have a 20K and I have a 50K. Excuse me, the
Nice.
20K is now 40K as of today. So
Nice.
just keep doubling, which is
Until
great.
what? Until you get to 1 million.
1.25 million. Yeah, which is once you get to
Nice.
that point, or once you get like, yeah, to
So
that, even
looking
half
at
of
it,
that, it's easy.
looking at here, you passed in March. It's now May. So
Yeah,
hopefully by sometime next year you'll be at that figure.
man, I really hope so. Yeah,
You know,
hopefully.
it's funny because when I like not teach people trade, but a lot of friends and family want to get into it, and they always say, "Oh, but I haven't got the money to get into trading." But it's like you don't really need money now. It's like, okay, get yourself some decent training, decent strategy, spend a lot of time learning it on the charts, and then
Mhm.
$100 or whatever, and you can get a prop firm challenge.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could totally do that. I always tell people always ask me all the time, like, oh, well, when I first started trading, they were just like, oh, like, be careful, da 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 da. This was 2018. But now, after COVID, yeah, it's so much better. People ask me all the time, how do you make money? How do you do this? And it's so hard, at least here in Canada, right? Like, it's just, people don't really understand Forex too much. They understand stocks, right? Because we're right next to US, so a lot of people are stock traders. So yeah, different game.
It is different game because we have a lot. I'd say probably 80% of our members are from the US, and in England, it's not. We don't. It's for us. It's currency pairs, euro pairs and stuff like that. We're not really into stocks and indices. And I
hmm
get it questions all the time. Oh, does can you trade stocks? Can you trade indices? And it's a completely different world. It's mad because we're all here for the same reason, which is to make money. Some do it
hmm
prop firms, some do it manually, some will do it robots, some do it with indicators, price
Yep,
action. Some are doing it on stocks, some doing it on currency pairs.
exactly.
It's a
Yeah,
big
no, I
world.
trade I trade Euro USD, AUD USD, US 30, NAS 100, and gold.
Do
Those are
you?
the ones that I trade. hmm
Yeah, I'm currency pairs and gold. I love that.
I know, I
Um,
just can't trade in the middle of the night. It's so tough. Which is your
yeah,
day.
I can imagine. Yeah, so you're not there for London Open then?
I sometimes I do, yeah, which is around 1 a.m. for me. So sometimes I do
We'll
stay
stay
up,
awake.
but yeah, it's a long day. It's a long. When I wake, I'm just so tired.
Yeah,
But
I can imagine. So your strategy then? What was it? Mogwai strategy, yeah.
yep, yep, it's the Mogwai. Yeah, it's the traditional. Well, I don't know if it's traditional. Again, I've only been a member since February, but it's the 1 minute and then the 15 minute. So checking for support and resistance on the 15 minute.
Because it's interesting
And
because we had a webinar over it, and I was showing you exactly how I trade. So what
mhm.
of that have you took? So basically Mogwai strategy, 1 minute time frame, and then 15 and 1 hour as your support and resistance.
hmm Yeah, so you and I, we had a one-on-one when I first joined because I was like, let me just talk to you, right? And
Yeah.
rather than going through the whole chat and trying to figure everything out. And so you really talked about the 1 minute and the 15 minute time frame. So I don't really use any other time frame other than those two.
Yeah.
That is what I'm comfortable with. I have my chart set up. to where I can obviously get an alert on my computer or my phone, and I can make a decision to trade within 4 to 5 seconds, right? So I
Yeah.
can go and I can look and boom, boom. If it doesn't line up with with my version of your strategy, I kind of tweaked it a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically what I do. Hmm.
So from that, because this is interesting, because I didn't ask you this before we started this webinar,
Hmm.
yeah, this meeting. How, like, from that webinar, how have you progressed from it? So it was worthwhile, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it was definitely worthwhile because, obviously I went through the training, which was I went through all the videos on the website, but then
Yeah.
hearing you talk about things that were technically not necessarily on there, and I'm sure you probably have had a YouTube video that you've talked about it, but it was nice because you talked about the number one thing was setting your stop loss too close. Like you were just like, oh yeah, please, set your stop loss further than what you normally do. So that's what I do. 2 to 1
One to
risk
two.
rewards, or
Yeah.
1 to 2. So yeah, so my SL is a little bit farther, but I'm only going 5 pips, right? So I'm just going 5 pips on FX, 50 points on gold, and
Yeah.
500 points on indices.
Indices.
So it's like yeah, my SL is really far, but it very rarely gets hit
Gets hit.
because yeah, so it's
Yeah, and
which is great.
it's honestly, since we had that webinar, it is probably the most common mistake that people make, because the reason you're getting stopped out is because of that stop loss, and the banks,
Yeah.
the brokers, they know that, they know where those stop losses are.
Yep.
Okay, if they can't see it on the books with the brokers, they know it's above and below support lines.
Yes.
So it's
Exactly.
like, why, it's easier to just buy at a support line or resistance area and just put that stop loss
Hmm.
out of the way.
Yeah.
you know
Exactly.
and it's going to help you long term, because it's going to help build the confidence. What you don't want to do is be stopped out and then the price reverse and could hit your take profit, because then you'll look back and think, the market's
Hmm.
got something against me, and then you start chucking stuff at walls.
Exactly. Exactly. I guess my only other problem is sometimes I don't let it hit TP too many times.
Yeah.
If it's I've gotten really good at just kind of seeing price movement going back and forth and back and forth, and I'm just like, you know what? It almost hit my TP. This is not good. So sometimes I just close early. I'm just like, screw it. So,
Yeah, sometimes, like today, for instance, I took a sell on USD CAD and a sell on Aussie US dollar. Both hit take profit, but I was watching USD CAD, and it was getting, it was kind of, I had a take profit of 15 pips, and for about an hour it sat there between 9 and 12, 9 and 12, and it was like,
yeah,
you know what, I'm just going to close it off. I'll wait till it goes like 12, 13 pips, and that's it, I'm done.
right, exactly. Yep. Yep. No, that's good wisdom right there.
And it's good that I asked you about that webinar, because I never really, people kind of have webinar one-on-one webinars, or they book a couple and then they go off, and I always think to myself in the back of my mind, I think, do you think like they actually took notice? Do you think they actually listened? But it's good that you did, to be fair.
Yeah, I feel like, if I was new to Forex, maybe it would have been a little bit harder, but I've been doing this since 2018,
Yeah.
right? So I've learned how to do things, and you know, especially with the I have the MT5 version as well. So I think you guys use the MACD version
Yeah.
on, your trading. I don't use that. I use the RSI, and I have my own little different strategy
Yeah.
for that too. That helps.
Oh, perfect. Um, so what advice would you give to anyone with prop firms, if you could?
So prop firms is definitely a numbers game. Um, you most likely will fail a prop firm. I have failed tons of them. But once you find a strategy like, Mogwai, or, an EA that's like pretty consistent, yeah, it may fail, 85, 90% of the time, but basically be consistent. So one thing that I'm learning about is prop farming, which is, the concept of, going after different prop firms and just passing challenges, but using probability in your favor, right? So if
Yeah.
you fail 4 prop firms in a row and it cost you $200 each time, that's an $800 investment that you put into yourself that's saying, hey, I'm going to try and pass this. But if you pass the fifth time, you're obviously getting better.
You get a
And then
10 grand
that fifth
account.
time you get funded. And then if the funded account you have is 100K, right?
Yeah.
Right now there's no time limit, right? So once you make, two, three, four, 5,000, like that covers everything that you just did, right? So you just have to
Yeah.
pass a couple times and you can have many fails. As long as it's like over 50% pass rate, you should be good.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because that was my bit of advice, because I think that when you look at it at the bigger picture, the upfront fee, $100, $200, or $500, if you want to go for the 100 grand accounts, is that in the grand scale of things, it's not a lot. $500 with the possibility of getting 100 grand account.
Totally.
And even if you fail 1, 2, 3 times, take it as a learning curve,
Yes.
because all it takes is you to have a good few months, and bang, you got 100 grand.
Exactly. Yep. And most likely you will fail your funded account as well, right? So you just, if you get funded and you're making $5,000, $10,000 or whatever a month, then keep $1,000 to $2,000 of that money and say, hey, this is set aside for when this account may fail, right?
Yeah.
Because you never know, because the rules are so hard. It's not like you're trading with actual $100,000 where you have all this wiggle room and drawdown room to go 20-30% DD. You can only go 4 or 5% DD, right? So that's another reason why I'm trading with instant funding is once you do get funded and you do have your first payout, you can email them and say, please remove my daily drawdown. So that's pretty cool.
Can they
So
do that? Yeah.
yeah, they're the only ones that I know. As of right now, they're probably going to change the rule, but you can remove the drawdown, the daily limit. So you just have the max loss of like 10 or 12%, whatever that is, which is great. Like
It's actually funny, because I say so much. There is a big difference between trading a smaller account and a larger account, because going back to the Mogwai strategy, right? Most trades are going to go 5, maybe 10 pips, and it's like, with a large 100 grand account, you can put a 20 pip stop loss, 5 pip take profit, and 80-90% of the time it's going to hit it. And it's fine, because with that 20 pips you got wiggle room. You can add to your position, or you can do whatever. And that's the plus side of having a large account. But then obviously the downside is that some prop firms will be like, no, you can't do that because of drawdown limits and stuff. And I found that when I went for my first FTMO, because I like to have a bit of wiggle room, and I realized, hang on here, when I did the trial account, I was like, I've got 2 weeks to try and make 10%. And I'm like, right, okay, I've got to really kind of go in hard now, but I can't, because I've also got to factor in my drawdown.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really, really hard, right? And they know that, right? Like, we've all seen the numbers from MFF.
Yeah.
See how many people fail. So yeah, it's a business for them.
Well, it's good that you've been funded anyway.
Yeah, it feels good. Yeah, it feels great to know that I'm able to provide for my family.
So you're doing this full time now? Are you still working, or?
I am full time. I am a part of the great.
The elite.
I guess there's a certain term, but in 2021, a bunch of people left their jobs, at least here in North America.
Yeah.
I left my job in 2021 to trade full time. So yeah.
Well,
It's been pretty
welcome
good.
to the club. Yeah. I've been at it for 5 years, and you know what? It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling. Like it is scary though, because
it comes with a different kind of pressure. Comes with a different kind of pressure, because you kind of, when you wake up and you jump on the charts, you can't guarantee. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. Yeah. It's like, just take what you can, and move on.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, it was good talking to you anyway, and hopefully next year I'll get you back on and you'll have £1 million.
Hopefully. I'm hoping for it. But yeah, no, I appreciate this interview. It's been